All right, welcome everybody to our PEY Industry Mixer 2021. CAFÉ is happy to have you all. And I think that we should just get started and introduce our speakers. So our schedule will first start off with just introduction and event speakers, and then we'll have speaker presentations. And then from 8 to 8:20, we'll have breakout rooms so that all of our guests can network with all of our speakers. And then we'll have feedback and a $25 raffle if you do the feedback. But if you are a little on the shy side, we do highly recommend that you do turn on your camera, because there will also be an additional entry if you have your camera on during the event. So let's get started. So 3 of our guest speakers are James Yin, who works at Weston Foods. Would you like to introduce yourself, James?
Hey everyone, my name is James Yin, chemical engineer in 1T8, and happy to sharing my experience tonight.
And then our next speaker is Praneet. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. Praneet Bagga, chem class of 1T4 plus PEY, and I'm currently at Mondelez. So happy to be here.
And then Caroline, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. Good night. My name is Caroline Brunstein. I'm a chem 1T7 plus PEY. Super excited to be here. I hope we have a great night today. I work currently for Mapley Foods.
So our last 3 speakers are Ian. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Ian Chown, Chem OT2 plus PUI. So it's been a long time since I've been back at school. I work at Pepsi and looking forward to it tonight.
And our next one is Muskan. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Muskan Malik. I'm Chem 2T2 plus PUI. So I'm currently on PUI at Kellogg in packaging. I'm really excited to talk at our events. This is my 3rd PUI mixer, the first one as a speaker. And yeah, this will be the first time we'll have a student who's actually currently on PUI as a speaker. So it should be an interesting experience.
And then Michelle, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Michelle Parsons, Chem OT3 from U of T, currently a project manager at Kellogg.
So those are our speakers, and we will be starting presentations now. So our first presenter will be James Yin. Would you like to share your screen?
Oh, sure. Give me one moment. Okay, I'm not very good with Zoom. Wait, which screen did I just share? Wait, can you guys see the deck?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Wait, including this one as well, right?
Yeah, we see it in the browser.
Oh, okay, perfect. Alrighty. Sorry, I thought you guys are presenting. All right, so let's start from the beginning. I hope tonight will bring you some insight, because yeah, I've just recently been through all the PEY part as well as my current job, and just hope I can share as much as possible. So I hope tonight can be as interactive in a way. So type in the chat, hit 1 if you want me to share more about my work experience, and hit 2 if you want to know like a little bit more secret in the industry that usually people don't usually share, but they're all public information and legal, so I'm able to share it. So yeah, hit in the chat, and I wanted to, oh my God. Okay, okay, I'll start with my experience first, and then we'll dig more into that. How about it? Let's start. So my PEY experience, I start with a Unilever supply chain logistics and planning intern. That Caroline actually is my mentor slash my trainer. She hired me to that position, but we do a little bit differently because the group was reorganizing in a sense that my day-to-day will be bringing transfer from external warehouse to the production line. The production line is really small, that it requires me to bring it in time, just in time with the right quantity. as well. For the other part of my job, I spent 40, like about that amount of time to do data entry as well as adjusting system information and stuff. So through that experience, I feel like definitely I know what I wanted to do in the future and some big no-nos that I never will want to work. And I will share a little bit more during our Q&A as well. But in my opinion, if you are going to a PEY position, get to know the people around you, that check with them, what do? They will be very happy to share it with you. And through that experience, you will determine something that you want to try in the future or trying to avoid in the future. And the other advice I would say that to make as many mistakes as you could, because through that process is actually how you learn, as well as fixing your mistake with your colleagues together. So that actually builds a relationship together. And that I found is very useful, but don't make the same mistake many times. That's bad. But anyways, that the other part will be just have fun during your internship, that nothing is more important than just being healthy and happy. And I'm sharing some of my pictures. This is, I hosted the soccer event, and we went for bowling together as a larger team for the whole plant, like the office stuff. And this is me and the other interns were doing like a Ninja Turtle for, yeah, for the Halloween events. So since most of you guys want to know the little dirty secrets, type in the chat. If you are going for a burger, would you choose for the real Hellmann's or the low fat one? I'll give you 5 seconds to do it. And then I will share like some things behind the scenes. Real. Okay. Original. Oh, wow. That's actually surprising to me. Okay. Yeah, we have some healthy people choosing the low fat. So the science behind it is that original is made of egg oil mixture. And for the low fat, they replace 30% of the original stuff with starch, like about that. So you're actually eating more starch versus the real thing. So next time when you're buying or choosing it, like it's just up to you still, because the calorie is lower for the low fat one. But just something that keep in mind. The next row afterwards was from Upfield, the Unilever Sodas 2019. I was actually hired back after my internship. So that also ties to your how good your relationship with your people at work. So as the material planner, I pretty much just order materials. That's all I do, but it's quite stressful as there are so many kinds, from all the way from packaging, oil, ingredients, and everything. So through this job, I feel like the most rewarding part is to talk to through external parties that I never imagined, because my role is spending money and ask people to do things. And I spend about $40 million every year just for the production. So it's fun to spend that much money. And you don't know like how big the market is until you're at the job. So that being said, I learned a lot of soft skills of how to ask people to do stuff. It's like, yes, they want to make money, but I don't have any authority over them. That how can I constantly demand them and they're saying yes. So that's the soft skill I developed. Also through the main time is that I'm seeking what else can I do afterwards, and just to find purpose through different jobs. And yeah, and having fun at the same time. This is the holiday toy drive, and I organized the game part for holiday party as well. So, and this is my goodbye to the manufacturing plant. It's like, I don't think I'll ever work in a plant again, but yeah, it's a tough and really challenging job for a 24-hour, 5-day manufacturing plant. But yeah, it's a really meaningful experience. And I will share a bit more of this during our Q&A because I know we're tight on time. But here is a little nugget. Would you choose butter or margarine? Okay, I'm guessing, but most of you guys choose butter because it's natural. If you're a vegan, you don't have a choice, honestly, because like margarine, you can mix it with, you can have vegan options. But the truth is, for butter itself, it has so much higher, I think 22% of saturated fat. That is really bad for your health and dietary system. And for margarine, that I believe is about 7%. In that way, margarine is healthier. But if you look at the ingredient list, margarine, there's a whole bunch of ingredients, and butter is milk and salt. That's all. Up to you. And then I will share a little bit more during our Q&A regarding the marketing scam they're trying to use. Totally legal, but tricky. The next is my current role is a supply planner and capacity planner. So through my last experience, I started to know more about the business, and I found that the core operation will be like, for me, will be strategic planning. How do I make impact for the future? And that's something I wanted to do. So I work with the plants as well as senior VPs, developing like the strategic plan for the category for 2 years. And I'm doing bread right now. So Country Harvest, Wonder, those ones are you seeing on the shelf? Where are we going to transform? Will we have problems in the future? So that's something that I am aiming to do and then still doing. But yeah, through your experience, constantly seek what you really wanted for your future, as well as defining where you are at, so you don't get lost through the day-to-day. There are more nuggets. I know we're tight on time, but in summary, for the professional advice is that to find out what you really like, and through your internship year, find out what you don't like, try to avoid in the future. I think that's very important, as well as trying to do as much as possible, make mistakes. That's okay. You have like the golden ticket to be an intern and make mistakes. Just don't make the same mistake twice. And build the relationship with your coworker that's really going to help you in the future. And lastly, just enjoy and have fun with what you do. So tonight, I know we're tight on time, and then we're having Q&A session in a bit. Like if you choose my breakout room, I have, I think, 5 more facts that I wanted to share. So just a little thing that keeping you updated. But yeah, hope you will enjoy tonight. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, James. That was really insightful. If the rest of you have any questions later for James, like you can write them down, hold on to them, and when we're doing our breakout room session, you can ask him then. Okay. So our next speaker will be Caroline. Are you ready to share your screen?
Yeah, it's just setting up.
Awesome.
Can you see my screen, Jacqueline?
I cannot. You are definitely co-host, so. Yep, I can see it now.
Yay, okay. Sorry guys, usually in the industry we use Microsoft Teams, so that's kind of rule number 1. Okay, hello everybody. My name is Caroline Brunstein, and I'm very excited to be joining you tonight. I currently work as a Six Sigma Black Belt manager at Mapley Foods. So I would like to start sharing a little bit of my undergrad experience. So food engineering or food in general is not on my radar, at all until I went on a summer research abroad experience between my 2nd and 3rd years, as you can see here on the picture on the further left. So I spent 4 months in Lund University in Sweden, where I worked with a project investigating the factors that would influence beer bitterness. I really didn't know until I arrived there, but Lund is actually a center of kind of a reference worldwide for food science and food engineering. And I got to spend a lot of time in the pilot plant, the food pilot plant, and that's when I kind of I fell in love with the food industry. That opportunity led to my PEY experience just after my 3rd year. I really knew I wanted to work on a consumer packed goods company, even though I knew that may not have, a strictly traditional chemical engineering job per se. So yeah, I was really curious for the food industry because I love the impact that it has. You know, like we're working with products that, you know, you can see on the shelves and having that really impact on the consumer right away. And that's really, you know, what drove me to this second role. So I work as, you know, James just alluded to, I work at supply chain at Unilever. And just in 2018, I came back for my 4th year and I graduated in U of T with a major on chemical engineering and a minor in bioengineering. And early on my 4th year, I really knew, again, I wanted to work on a CPG company. So I applied for a graduate rotational program. And Mapley Foods was actually offering early on in September, and I applied it and I got it. But your question might be, you know, what's Mapley Foods? So. Okay, so again, you might not know what Mapley Foods is, but as you can see here on the right-hand side, I'm sure you tried at least one of our brands before, even if you're a vegetarian, because in fact, we own a green leaf, which is the alternative protein business. So we have 2 alternative protein brands, which is the Field Roast and the Light Life. So check that out. It's quite fascinating. So very high level for those who don't know, Mapley Foods is Canada's largest prepared meats and poultry producer in North America, and also is present in the plant-based business. We employ around 13,500 people, and we are very proud, I think for me specifically, to have been the first Canadian food company to adopt a science-based targets in 2019 and become the first food producer to have a carbon neutral title. That's pretty exciting. And we don't just talk the talk. Our vision as a company is really to become the most sustainable protein company in the world. But let's dive deeper on my food experience. So I joined Mapley just after I graduated, as I said so, and I had 3 roles within this rotational program. So first, I was an operations supervisor, working with the sliced meats category. So this is one of the products here that we did. You might see this on Costco. And it was a great opportunity. As a fresh grad, I was leading 3 production lines, managing 45 employees hourly. Was a great learning on the job experience. Then my second year, just last year, I was working as a product developer with the poultry team. So it was really cool because I got to see the product for working with the innovation and my creative side. So basically I was working with the culinary chefs to come up with the product, all until launching at the facility. So you got to see all the implementation stages. And I work with the further processed poultry. So it was another category. So I was doing mostly chicken nuggets, chicken popcorn, stuffed chicken. Let's just say I put on weight during that rotation. And third of all, currently I'm working as a Six Sigma Black Belt manager. And I'm sure that might feel like a foreigner concept, but basically what Black Belts do is we eliminate waste to reduce variation. So we use lean manufacturing tools, again, to reduce this variability and noise within the process. So we deployed our methodology, which is define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. And we use, statistics, financial analysis, project management, always with this, continuous improvement kind of eye. But I really wanted to make sure that, why am I using engineering, right? Because that was always the question, am I applying everything that I learned in university? Sometimes it's really hard to see the parallel. So I figured I could share one of the projects that I led for my second role as a research development lead. If you went to A&W, we just launched this new Nashville hot chicken burger, and that was just in 2020. So the process for the project, to be launched. So first, we would engage the customer. We would develop the specification document and really asking the question, what's the gap, right? If you remember APS 101, that's kind of the main question we want to answer. Then we develop the prototype. We perform a sensory. We have several, design of experiments, have some planned trials. We have a final sensory. And this is the very cool part when we create the label, the SOP, the standard operating procedure, the artwork, the packaging, we really get hands-on with all these designing stages. And then we launch the product finally. And this one I'm very proud of because in 2020, during the pandemic, we were able to launch this. It was not an easy task. And then A&W recognized us for the Supplier of Excellence Award. So that was a pretty pretty cool initiative. Hopefully you can try this whenever you go to AMW next. I just like to conclude, I'm sure everybody here has want to know more about opportunities within the industry. So I just figured I could share some. So we do have co-op full-time position as well as the rotational program that I just said. So for those, please check the career posting website. I know they do post jobs there, or you can go directly to the Maple Leaf website. And yeah, if you have more questions, I'm very, very happy to answer. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Caroline. That was really insightful with Maple Leaf Foods. If any of you are looking for co-op opportunities, make sure to reach out and look at Maple Leaf Foods career portal, I guess. All right, so our next presenter will be Ian. Can you share your screen?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
All right. Hello, everyone. Here's what I have. I feel like I missed out on all the hot tips to like lure people into my breakout room, like I've seen in the last two presentations. So hey, I'm at Pepsi. Here I can go back. I work in a job with a very fancy but very vague title. So I'm Senior Director of Transformation. I'll talk about that a little bit, but I'm a Chem OT2 plus PEY. I plan on talking a little bit about Pepsi, not that much, a little bit about like co-ops that we do. Again, not that much, a little bit about our full-time career path. So we have, similar to what we heard from Caroline, like our rotational program. I'll talk a little bit more about my career path. I don't have nearly as many cool pictures. Honestly, you'll just have to hang with me. And then Q&A is at the end. So write it down if you have questions, but I'll happily answer them. So Pepsi, I mean, one of the nice things about working for Pepsi is people never ask like, oh, what do they do, right? Like in general, people have some idea of what Pepsi is. It's very similar to most of the people that are gonna talk tonight. I mean, we're just like a big company. It's interesting for me to hear it. Like we kind of compete with most of the people on the call today. Like, you know, we've got a joint venture with Beyond Meat. So we're in this like non-animal protein space as well. We do ready-to-eat cereals, so Kellogg's coming up. We do all kinds of things. So, you know, the name on the door is Pepsi, but it's a big organization, you know, almost 3,000 employees, totally global. And, you know, I'm speaking from the US right now. I've moved here 5 years ago. And we've got a few big brands. That's a company, you guys probably know that. We do hire interns into, I call it like, you know, our supply chain world. Really, when we're hiring people, I don't think we do PEYs. I'm a bit out of touch. I moved out of Toronto like almost 6 years ago now. But we had been doing co-ops, so there were summer opportunities and just trying to get people, like give them a project in the plant, trying to deliver some kind of real results. That's really what we were looking for, and give people a taste for what life is like. I mean, that's a bit, I love what James said in his presentation of like, if you're doing a PEY or co-op, like half the value is figuring out what you don't like, right? So go try stuff and, you know, maybe you'll get the bug, maybe you won't get the bug, but trying it is a ton of value. So we try to get people those experiences. And really we're trying to give them that like realistic job preview for what we hire full-time into our rotational program. And really the bulk of what we're hiring, and I think you're going to hear from people with different experiences, but this was mine. So I started with Pepsi when I graduated into, I mean, we call it a campus hire program. It's not very scripted. It is totally about leading frontline teams like Carolyn talked about in her first experience. So, you know, what did I start? I started as a maintenance supervisor working second shift, right? Leading mechanics and electricians. I didn't know anything, right? It's great. We love just like putting people that we think are pretty smart people, put some support around them, and kind of point them in a direction. It's super hands-on. I mean, what appealed to me was I used none of the engineering skills I learned at school, and I'm super happy about that. it's really like a leadership job in a quasi-technical environment, certainly from a leadership standpoint. And so we hire people into this rotational program. I probably covered most of this, but it's like traditional supply chain roles is where we try to get people a taste and some of that experience, right? Production, quality, warehouse, transport. There's a whole separate thing on sales. You know, we're not typically, there's two separate tracks, like one for sales and one for supply chain. And it's, you know, shifts, weekends, across the weekend, a lot of stuff that's like, I think at the beginning, super unglamorous. But you know, we have like a huge need for leaders, and it can get pretty interesting. So I'll talk a bit about my experience, and I meant to take note of when I started talking, so don't go too long. So we'll see how I do, because now I'm just freewheeling. But I did a PEY. So I was OT2 plus PEY. I got a PEY job at Labatt. So if anybody knows, at the 401 in Islington on the southeast corner where there is now a Lowe's, it used to be a Labatt plant. It's super depressing if I ever go by there because it's a Lowe's now. But I got a job there in packaging. I got a job there 100% because it was Labatt, and I was like, ooh, I would like to work for a brewery. That sounds amazing. I really didn't know anything about manufacturing. And I worked as like an intern. I was the first ever intern in the maintenance department. And so I kind of had to carve out my own space. They were very willing to let me do all kinds of things. Super rewarding. I really liked it. And that's really what tipped me into like CPGs. Because I think the focus was on like petrochemical coming out of chem. And, you know, post-graduation, that's when I started with Pepsi. I am super anomalous within like my group of friends. I've been with one company since I graduated. And you can see this like long, boring list of roles that I've done. If I think about it in terms of like groups, that's why I did these little tabs you can see here. My first roles, this green part, they were like all kind of foundation. So leading teams, like I was a maintenance supervisor, production supervisor, some supply chain planning. Then the role grew to like leading professionals and leading a department. So as a department manager for maintenance in Toronto, I moved to Montreal, I speak French, worked in production there, and then did like a support role across Canada as the engineering manager for Canada. Then I went into these, I don't know, whatever this is, peach, maybe, I don't know what color I chose. And I ran manufacturing in the plant in Toronto, and then I was the plant director with manufacturing and warehousing. So that was like multi-function leadership responsibility. It's a unionized plant, so I'm doing negotiations with the union when the contract is up. And, you know, it evolves from, you know, semi-technical, but like a lot of leadership, just into like business leadership, general management roles. And that's always what appealed a lot more to me. And then I moved to Chicago, like I said, kind of 5.5 years ago. I moved for my wife's career. So my wife, another U of T grad, now teaches at Kellogg at the business school here at Northwestern. So the advantage of a big global company is I was able to say, hey, can I have a job in Chicago now? Oh, I got my 1-minute warning. And that worked out. So since then, I've worked a whole variety of things, and really what I do in my role now is a lot of strategy. So I do it across like our selling and go-to-market system. I do e-com strategy. I do warehouse strategy. I do all kinds of different things. But it's basically just built over time and is 100% not engineering. So I'm here to get the word out that there are lots of good jobs where you don't have to do math that are really cool. So that's it.
Awesome. Yeah, that was actually pretty cool to hear about like all your job experience. So I'm expecting you'll probably get a lot of questions about that. Our next on the list is Praneet. Do you think you can share your screen?
Yeah, got it right here.
Awesome.
Give me 1 sec. Okay, I'm just going to open the chat up so I can see what everyone is saying. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Praneet, class of 24 plus PEY. Also ChemEng, and I am right now at Mondelez International as a product change manager, focused on external manufacturing and repacking projects mainly. Before that, I had also been a part of the R&D team as part of the packaging group specifically. And, you know, being here, it was kind of cool because I get to actually see Michelle Parsons here, who's going to be speaking after me, I think, who used to be in a product change manager role at Mondelez as well. So, you know, it's great to see some familiar faces here as well. A little bit about me, I guess. So I'm originally from India, but I lived in Indonesia as well for about 9 years. I moved to Canada to pursue my chemical engineering at University of Toronto. And then I recently also got my MBA from Rotman School of Management back in April of this year. You know, I do speak a few different languages. I'm very passionate about Spanish. I love traveling in general, and you know, picked up Indonesian when I was there. And you know, one fun fact about me, I guess I've traveled, you know, across so many different countries, across different continents. And some of the highlights includes hiking Machu Picchu. So if you haven't done that, I highly recommend doing that. I backpacked across Western Europe when I graduated. Also highly recommend that if you're looking for a grad trip. And then also, I'm a big soccer fan, so I was able to go, you know, watch the World Cup when it was happening in Brazil. But enough about me and more about Mondelez and my role there. So unlike Pepsi and some of the other companies here, Mondelez isn't necessarily a household name. But at the same time, I think Mondelez is great in terms of the brands that we have. And, you know, some of those brands are quite staple in people's homes. You know, things like we have cookies, Oreos, Chips Ahoy's, crackers, Triscuit, Ritz, we have chocolate, so Cadbury Dairy Milk. So for the longest time, my focus was actually working on the chocolate portfolio within the R&D team, focused on our chocolate packaging. So I worked both with Dairy Milk, some Milka, Toblerone as well. More recently, I also worked on some gum projects, especially focused on Trident and Dentine. And then we also have a few candy SKUs with the Maynard's portfolio, so Sour Patch Kids and things like that. So you can see here, you know, there's just quite a few brands here, and depending on what your preference is, you know, we really do like it when people go and, you know, talk about our brands and things on social media, and we really track that, you know, in terms of our consumer insights group as well. So I guess, you know, we never really took the opportunity to become a household name as a company, but rather focused on that through our brands itself. Moving on to a little bit more about my role. So before in my R&D role, it was mainly focused on supporting commercialization projects, so idea to market from a packaging R&D side. So I would do a lot of technical drawing development with vendors and material structure development, and also work with our manufacturing team to implement those packaging designs in our plant. Lots of things like art book approval, and you know, also leading the first production for a lot of these formats. More recently, my new role is now focused on, you know, leading end-to-end commercialization. So from start to finish, across our different various external partners in all of the different categories. So that includes, you know, our biscuit categories, whether it's working on cookies or crackers, working on our candy category, as well as working on chocolate. And what I found is one of the cool things about this role is I really get to see the process end to end in terms of how we really have, like, you know, an idea that, you know, somebody comes up with in a meeting, and how we see that through all the way, you know, across our different stage gates, and all throughout first production, and actually at the grocery store. So, you know, when people ask me what's my, you know, favorite thing about working in the food industry, especially at Mondelez, I think the greatest thing for me is actually seeing the products that I've worked on in the grocery store when I go, you know, and even though nobody else around me would know that I worked on specific things there, like, you know, even if it's like me having just a little tiny minor role, I think it gives me a great sense of accomplishment and pride. And I think that's one of the key benefits of working in the food industry. And I'm sure, you know, the rest of like the speakers would also attest to that as well. The other thing that I also, you know, get to do in my role as a PCM is really focus on identifying, you know, the strategy for commercialization and execution with the project team. So identifying those risks, building the project financials, doing a little bit of resource planning as well now, and also capacity utilization. So really looking at all facets of the project and bringing it all together in the form of bringing together the project team. Another key hallmark of my role is actually owning the relationships with our external partners, with our co-packers, as well as an external manufacturing group. So really bringing them on board in our project discussions and really relying on them to provide their expertise and things like that as well. So that's kind of in a nutshell my role at Mondelez. Some of the projects that I've worked on. So these are a few examples of when I was in the packaging team, especially. So the one on the top left is when I worked on a brand new line commercialization, brand new packaging line commercialization. Don't have too many fun facts, but I think the really fun fact about this line is that it runs all of the dairy milk products in Canada, which is I think around 40 different SKUs. So it's variety of flavors, variety of different sizes and formats, and it's able to do all of that. So I thought that was kind of cool. I've also been heavily involved with mini eggs, focusing on the caramel secret. There's quite a lot of promotions around that. You might have seen some Instagram commercials and things like that. I worked on some imports, so working on Cadbury Oreo and bringing that to life as part of the Mondelez team. And we don't actually make that here in Toronto or in Canada. We actually import that from another region. And then also more recently, worked on some margin as well as some business continuity projects where we're having a lot of supply chain challenges right now with a lot of packaging manufacturers, and I'm sure the rest of the speakers know about those too. So just being able to see that and actually ensure that we keep our core products running and being able to provide that support to people. That's one of the projects I did for Trident more recently. A little bit more about the company in general and why Mondelez specifically. I think one of the cool things about Mondelez, and I've been here, and just seen the strategy change. And the one thing I really like about our new strategy is how focused it is. So, having the right snacks. So that means having the right brands and right products, providing it at the right moment. I think a lot of people don't understand what the right moment is. It's not just about having, a one size chocolate bar that you have, in all of the different occasions. Sometimes you want to have a large chocolate bar that you want to share with your friends. You want to have, kind of on the go packs or something like that. So really, focusing on consumer requirements. And then the last is actually, the right way and sustainable packaging as well as sustainable sourcing of our products. Where do we sell our products? Like I said, we're quite global and, we do have a lot of sustainability goals. So I'll, leave that here and we can talk about that later because I do see I'm short on time. Very quickly, some advice for you guys. So, some PEY lessons that I learned. One was, being adaptable. Things never go to plan. So always, be ready to adapt and be flexible. Having the right attitude, be positive, be there to learn, and think big picture. You want to be able to look at the problem from different perspectives and facets. So those would be probably like 3 advice that I would have, especially working in the food industry. And then here's some application as well as interview tips. Past experience does matter. So make sure you whatever jobs that you had, internships, extracurriculars, put that on. Like we want to see what you have done in the past. Same thing, know the brands, research the companies, as well as network. I know it's cliched, but, message us on LinkedIn or message somebody from the company in LinkedIn if there's a role you like or there's someone in that role. More than happy to support with a coffee chat. And the last thing is be prepared with questions. So I hope you have lots of them for me in our networking group. Thank you.
Yay. Yeah, that was a good presentation. Lots of content. So hopefully there will be lots of questions in your breakout room. Our last presentation will be Muskan and Michelle. So I see you share your screen whenever you two are ready.
Great. So my name is Muskan okay, so my name is Muskan and we have Michelle as well, and we're going to do a presentation on Kellogg. And we're going to look at project management and packaging in the food industry. So I can introduce myself first. I'm a Chem 222 plus PEY. I'm currently doing my PEY at Kellogg as a packaging development intern. It's a 13-month position. And yeah, I started in May. And definitely, if you guys have like more questions, I can get into more details when we do the breakout rooms. And yeah, Michelle, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Michelle. I'm currently working at Kellogg as a senior launch program manager, essentially a project manager for new product launches. I've been there at the company for about 6 months.
Awesome. So we just wanted to start by asking you guys in the chat if you can try to identify which of these brands are not Kellogg owned. So if you guys want to take a guess and throw it in the chat.
The chat is disabled.
Oh,
Oh,
can you, I think you should be good
okay,
now.
okay, it should be good now.
Sorry about that. So yeah, we have Pringles, Cheez-It, Morningstar Farms. Okay, it's Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Eggo, Pop-Tarts. Wow, okay, no. Okay, this is actually, okay. No, it's Cinnamon Toast Crunch. We do not own Cinnamon Toast Crunch. We own Pringles, shockingly. We own Cheez-It, we own Eggo, we own Pop-Tarts. We own Morningstar Farms, and we own so many more. And it varies based on the global region as well. So yeah, same thing like Ian mentioned, it's very surprising, I think, especially because Kellogg is sort of more of a household name, like just what falls under its umbrella. It goes way beyond just ready to eat cereal. So yeah. And Michelle, do you want to cover this slide?
Sure. So there's a few different roles at Kellogg's that you could possibly go for. They're kind of loosely tied to engineering. So there's project management. They're always hiring engineers for that. Packaging development. So essentially Muskan's job. An external manufacturing manager. So that person kind of coordinates, any product that we use third parties to pack. Manufacturing reliability engineers is also a good title to research. Those are located at the plants. And if you happen to work for a US business, another role in R&D is a food designer. So those are the, I guess, folks who develop the new formulas or different foods.
Thank you. And I think there's always a bit of mystery, like, food engineering, what does that look like? And I hope, based on the other presentations today and what we have here, you can see that it varies vastly. It can be more business and leadership, and it can be more, technical, sciencey, or in the plant. And yeah, I think that's one of the great parts about the food industry.
All right, so I'll take you through some of my career highlights quickly. So as I mentioned, I'm currently working at Kellogg. I've been there for about 6 months. And before that, I worked as a product commercialization or product change manager at Mondelez for 6 years. So Praneet gave you an excellent overview of that job. We had the same role. He has the role that I had back then. So I won't go into too many details there, but basically I spend a lot of my day coordinating the various business functions to try to get them to work together to deliver new products to the market. Before that, I was actually in the pharmaceutical industry. I worked there for almost 10 years. I worked in more of an engineering role there where I tested different equipment and systems against government regulations. And you can see there, I've listed some of my certifications to date, including PMP, PEng, Chemical Engineering 2003 at U of T, and also a volunteer for the PEO, which I'll talk a little bit about later on. Next slide, please. So here's a bit of my career journey and how I got there, some tips and tricks that I used. So when you're making your resume, generally what I do is I make it accomplishments based, and there you can see an example of exactly what I have on my resume. It's very quantifiable, lists the number of projects I worked on, the overall value of them, how many that I was working on at any given time. I think there's a lot of impact there. Another thing that I've learned along the way is to optimize my LinkedIn profile. So this may or may not be relevant to you just starting out, but as you go along in your career, be sure that you have a specific headline like title, industry, and exactly what you're looking for. And you can look for early career professionals on LinkedIn and kind of see what they're putting as their LinkedIn headlines. The other thing too I've learned is always respond to recruiters. Even if you're just saying, no, thanks, I'm not really interested in that job, I still get contacted by recruiters all the time on LinkedIn, even if the jobs aren't a good fit. Some of them are, so you never know, right? It's just another avenue to be open to you. And some interview questions there that I think maybe would help you along the way. And I've used these and adapted them as I've gone along in my career. So you can ask people or interviewers, tell me about your internship program and what kind of projects would you be working on, just so you can judge whether or not the internship is good for you and if you'll get, you want to get value out of it. So you want to know what you're working on. And maybe you could also ask if the interviewers have any concerns about your fit for the role that you could address in the moment right there in the interview. And if there was anything that you said along the way that gave them pause, well, you could have a chance there to correct it. Let's go to the next slide. And, there's a few things I've learned along the way over my career. I'll touch on a couple of these. Maybe we can talk more about this in the networking session. The first one, like Praneet mentioned also, I was never and still am not really great at networking. So I think networking often and following up with the people that you meet as appropriate and really growing your network will help you move along in your career. The other thing too, I didn't change roles often enough. The most successful people I know in the food industry have been changing roles every 18 to 24 months. And you kind of saw that in Ian's presentation, right? With all those roles, they're about, a year to 2 years separated, even though they were all at the same company or similar companies. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to change company, but you should really be looking at changing roles. And I know it depends on your lifestyle and what's going on, in your life and at that particular time. But it will impact your growth and pay. And I think the other thing too is negotiation. So I've been fairly successful with this personally, but a lot of people kind of shy away for it. So my recommendation is always to negotiate your compensation. And we'll go to the next slide. And just here are some go-to resources. The one I like to use is CPG Connect for researching Canadian food industry jobs. They also list titles and companies there. They don't always list internships, but you can definitely see who's hiring and then maybe do a little bit of research in the background. And they have a job board. I like also Ask a Manager, which is an entertaining career advice column. It's a little bit US and nonprofit focused, but a lot of the advice applies to, generally to anybody in the career. And also, I'll speak about the PEO. So I sit on the Sterling Award Committee currently, which offers $3,500 for professional development for EITs. So once you graduate, you can register as an EIT. And the award really puts an emphasis on leadership potential and volunteering within the engineering community. So in order to be competitive for the award, we like to see a lot of volunteer experience within engineering. So keep that in mind if that sort of thing interests you. And I think that's it for me. Yep, back to you, Ms. Khan.
Thanks, Michelle. And we'll share all of the slide decks so you can check out Michelle's awesome resource list. So really quickly talking from the student perspective, in terms of the job search, I actually got my first internship through a cold call. I literally Googled engineering companies at Etobicoke and called some and got an internship. First, I did like a month with them after my first year, and then that led to an opportunity to do 3 months with them as a process design intern. So that's something that I highly, highly recommend you do. Like, you have nothing to lose. It's a little nerve-wracking, but it's also great practice in terms of like your verbal communication skills. In terms of developing your resume and cover letter, get feedback, show your resume to as many upper years as you can. They love helping. You can send me your resume, send it to me. I will look at it and tailor it to the job. This is so, so important. I spent a whole weekend on my Kellogg resume and cover letter. I tailored it to a T and really, you have to prove your fit. You are the right person for the job based on the job posting and what they're looking for. So no, never, like if you're gonna send like a generic resume, like just don't bother. Like it's not, it's not a great option. And this is something that I have an interesting story. I did the mentorship, PY mentorship program, and there were a couple of upper years giving us some advice. So I asked, what's your thoughts on a 2-page resume? And one person immediately was like, absolutely not. You're just a student. There's no reason to have a 2-page resume. And then the other upper year was like, I had a 2-page resume with the job that I got. So what I'm just trying to say is take everything that everyone says with a grain of salt. Think about it yourself. Think critically about the advice you're getting. Yes, get the feedback, but don't just automatically implement it. If you truly like fundamentally disagree, do a little bit more research and see what you think would work best for your resume. For your communication skills, for when you're practicing for your interviews, I know a lot of people who had resumes that were stacked, amazing experience. But if you can't sell yourself, if you can't successfully hold your own in an interview, you're really going to struggle in the job search aspect. So practice, again, it's kind of embarrassing, but practice with your friends. There's the CLNX portal, there's the ECP, practice, record yourself. I would record myself and watch it. It was very embarrassing. Hated it, but I would do it. And yeah, lastly, I just want to say all experience is valuable experience. My manager, Pam, she said that she had got one of her jobs because of her bartending experience. And that's how she got one of her packaging related jobs. The manager thought a bartender, that's a fast-paced environment, you know how to deal with people. And that's really what sold them. So don't neglect your even non-engineering related experience. It is relevant. If you can reflect on it and extract the value from it, all life experience can be valuable experience when it comes to interviews. And then a little bit about my role. I know it's 8:03, so I'll try to hurry it up. And I can talk about it more during the breakout room, but I do a lot of specifications. I know Praneet touched on it as well. So artwork reviews. I spend a couple hours each day. It varies in project meetings, communicating with the greater multifunctional team about my updates and about my progress from a packaging perspective, getting technical die lines, which are drawings, CAD drawings, and quotes from our suppliers. I got to visit the plant and distribution center, which was very exciting. And then lastly, I've done I like to call it like my extra work. I've done a lot of cost savings scoping and some work researching the sustainability landscape from a packaging perspective. So I'll just take one more minute. Just a couple things in terms of when you're actually on PEY, things you can do. And I've learned these things also from my mistakes. I've made lots of mistakes. So, it's not like I just got there and was like, killed it. Like, no, I messed up a lot. So I hope you guys can maybe take some of what I'm putting out here and pick it up a little bit faster. But I mean, obviously stay organized, have high standards. And that's not just, I think sometimes it's easy to just want to get something done. See what you can do to improve upon it. You're working on your spreadsheet, format it properly, make it easy to follow, write your emails, with a little attention to detail, review it properly. So if you set the bar high for yourself because you want to do well, I think that's really going to set you up for success. Honest reflection, really think about what you're doing. Are you proud of the work you're doing? Do you enjoy the industry? Like the point of PEY is to figure out what you like and what you don't like. So, just don't go into work every day and do the work. Think about if you're enjoying the work. Is this something you want to do? Do you really feel like you're doing a good job? What could you do to improve? And I honestly think that's where you can enjoy your job, even if it's not perfect. You're not going to like every aspect of your PEY. I just think it's impossible. Like you don't like every aspect of, I think, being a student either. So try to enjoy it, be positive, ask questions, and start your task sooner than later. Sometimes they'll give you a very, very far and away deadline. But start it as soon as you get the task assigned to you, because there's always follow-up questions. There's always things that it's kind of unclear, like, wait, but I don't have this info or this or that. So start it as soon as you get it assigned to you so that you know exactly what you're supposed to get done. And then lastly, request and provide feedback. So always, always, always ask for feedback. Don't take it personally, but you gotta ask for it and improve. And that's the best way to kind of get the most out of your PEY experience. And that's it for me. Thank you.
So thank you for all of our speakers. That was our last presentation, and we will be beginning the networking portion. So I'm going to first assign all of the speakers into a breakout room, and I believe that the rest of you should be able to choose your own breakout room. So please DM me if you're having trouble going into a certain breakout room. Okay, so I will be opening breakout rooms now. Okay, so the rest of you, if you go down and go to the breakout room area, yeah, you should be able to choose which breakout room you want to go to and which speaker you wish to speak to. Are the rest of you having trouble going into a breakout room or deciding? Natalie or Condoker, do you guys want to be assigned to a room?
Hi, Jacqueline. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Do you want me to assign you to a room?
Oh no, it's okay. I'm not even in Cambridge. I'm
I
just
know.
here because I'm here to I don't know, for team morale, I guess.
Makes sense. Yeah, I know. I think it's just like kind of fun to talk to these people. Okay, I'm glad that like every room actually has people, because that was what I was kind of like
Oh,
low-key
that's
worried
good.
about. Because I'm like, oh
That's
shit,
good.
like
That's good.
yeah, I was like, oh
It's
man,
a
like
success. It's good.
I
It's
know.
good.
Okay, I'm just happy that like every room has like more than one person. So I'm like, okay, you know
Oh,
what?
that's so
it.
good.
I'm like, okay,
That's
you know what?
really
That's a
good.
good sign. That's a good sign.
That's very good sign. Very good sign. But the presentations were very cool. It's like, wow. I wish I
know.
stayed in chemical engineering.
Oh, you were
That was so
originally in
fun.
Cambridge?
And then I switched out to ECE because I didn't really like the stuff I was learning, but I feel like the jobs are quite interesting. A lot of interesting sounding jobs. Very cool,
Do you
very
like
cool.
ECE more?
I do like it a lot more. It's just the grades I don't like.
I mean, I
Just
would
my
imagine that your
grade.
GPA was. I would imagine that your GPA in first year was really high if you switch into ECE, because ECE is really
Yeah,
hard to switch into.
it was a lot higher. I think it dropped by like maybe around 20 to 30%. So yeah, but it's okay. But for first year, since it was online, I think all the marks were like inflated a lot. So I also have that to thank.
I
So
don't know. I think it depends. I remember that like if you try to switch out of engineering, like if you apply for an art side program, they actually up your average by like 10 to 15%. I remember my friend was
no
considering it.
way.
Yeah,
No
she had
way.
like I think in her overall like eng average, it was only like mid 70s, I think. But like when she said like she considered applying for an art side, switching out to art side, it upped her average like by like 15%. So it was like at a 90 average.
Whoa. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, so
Whoa.
like those are your backup plans.
I know. Thank you. Thank you. So now I'm good because I was like, ah, I don't know if I want to switch. That's true. To be honest, I've been considering switching out of it. It all depends on how I do in second year. All depends. We'll see. We'll
I
see.
don't
We'll
know. I mean, I would imagine that you like ECE decently enough for you to switch into it.
see. Yeah, because it's like the stuff I'm learning. I'm really enjoying it. It's just the marks that I'm getting back, very bad, very bad. But it's okay.
Yeah, my class averages are really low this year. I remember, oh my
Oh,
gosh, that
really?
class average for my math midterm, like the very first one, was 35.
Oh no. Oh no. But
Like we all got curved.
I'm sure you are above average. I'm sure
Yeah,
you
like
were
we all
above
got
average.
curved, but like, wow.
Wonderful. It's a wonderful. That's so good. It's all about the curve, honestly. I really hope some of my courses get curved because I really
If
need
they
a
don't
little bit
curve
of
them
help there.
during the midterm, they'll curve them at the end. That's the rule of thumb. They'll
Okay.
always like curve at some
Okay.
point. Because like
I
if
see.
they
I
don't
see.
curve,
Okay.
everybody's not gonna pass.
I know because but at the same time, it's like I think for majority of my midterms, actually, the averages have been around like 65, like around like not a little above 60, but not higher than 70. So then I haven't gotten anything above average yet. So kind of
Honestly, don't
concerning,
even
but
worry about it. Don't even worry about it. Like I'm like thriving and I'm like not doing so hot. So like don't even worry about
oh,
it.
that's good. That's wonderful. Hope civil is going well.
I'm trying my best.
You're
Okay, I'm
you're
gonna
in
check on
civil,
some of
right?
the break. Yeah, I am. I'm gonna check on some
All
of the
right, good,
breakout
good, good.
rooms, and
All
then
right.
I'll join back in after.
Yeah, it was nice talking to you. See you later. Yeah.
Look, it's just us again.
Oh, just like 30 more seconds or 20-ish. But yes. Okay, I think we have everybody back. All right, so for our last bit of the event, so thank you all for coming. We just want to end with thanking all of you for coming, especially the speakers. All of your presentations were amazing. I hope that all your breakout rooms were fun and lots of questions being asked. So if you want a chance to win a $25 gift card, please scan that QR code and fill in the form. Speakers, we would also appreciate if you filled in our feedback form so we know how to make our event even better next time. So I will give you a couple minutes to do that, and then we will announce our raffle winner.
Are the speakers allowed to attend the raffle as well? Okay, that was quiet. So that wasn't part of the plan then.
That's a no, James.
Oh my God, no. It'll be exciting though. But yeah, I'll definitely follow the feedback just in case.
Thank you.
Do you know how many people have filled it out so far, Jackie?
There's 13 responses so far.
Awesome. So it is 8:28. Do we want to just give everyone like one more minute and then we can do the raffle?
There's like one person who provided their name out of the 13.
Wait, there is a name part?
Mm. Jacqueline, do we want to just, okay, maybe, okay, let's just do this. I'll take a screenshot of everyone who's here and we'll do the raffle with them and then also the people who had their cameras on. And then we'll just, in the next 24 hours, we'll just tell everyone, we'll tell the winner of the raffle who they are and what gift card they want. Okay, so I'm taking a screenshot, by the way, if you guys wanna, we're not sharing this anywhere, but sure. Okay, sorry about that, but yeah, we'll do the raffle based on who's here until the end of the event. I'm gonna assume you guys were here because you're filling out the feedback form. And then of course, thank you to everyone who left their cameras on until the very end. We really appreciate that. Really helps the speakers, and it is 8:30. So I don't know, Jacqueline, if you had any closing remarks.
Oh, my closing remarks are just thanking everyone for signing up and as well as the speakers for coming up with presentations and joining our event and also being our future networkers for our later on events. So thanks a lot. If you need to go, please go and have a great night.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you to our
Thanks, everyone.
speakers.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.